Welcome back. So I've been going through a bit of a journey of my own, and I'm just seeing where there's so much value to share with you guys about this particular topic. It's helped me a lot. So, in the last video I was talking about how I've done feminine reclamation work for about 3 years now. Okay? And the thing about like spirituality is there's so many different modalities to healing. So there's the feminine reclamation work, there's ego work, there's shadow work, which is what I'm going to talk about today. And yeah, there's energy work, chakra work. There's so much work. There's different ways that you can tackle this. So I've talked about the chakras, and if you feel like you are feeling stuck, that your impulses are controlling you, that you're unsafe, that you're insecure, anything, go check out my chakra series. It will really help you. Now, this is going to be about shadow work. So this is about the shadow and going into the underworld. Now, I've been doing shadow work for since 2018, so 7 years. And it started with just becoming conscious of the shadow, realizing where I was stuck in my patterning. And the shadow, the shadow is the things that we deem bad. The shadow is like the things that you don't want to be doing, but you are doing. The shadow can show up in a number of ways. And if you do the energy work to clear that out, you don't necessarily have to replay the patterning in your life. When you clear the shadow, you are gifted with the golden shadow. So when you clear what it is that is your patterning, that is your programming, that is your vice, then when you get to that point, underneath that is the golden shadow, which is usually the opposite thing, and it's actually one of your superpowers. So if you're like a really lazy person, and you deem that like really bad, when you clear that up, your productivity is probably going to be one of your superpowers. Or if you're really mean and selfish, when you clear that up, your selflessness and your kindness are probably going to be one of your superpowers, right? So things that you're meant to give the world. And this can also be psychic abilities as well. Now, when you're not doing the work, the chakra work, things are going to manifest in your life. And this is where we're going to talk about journeying into your own underworld. So, I'm just going to get a card because I feel like I should. Happiness is my birthright. I love that. So, my outer experiences are a reflection of my internal condition. So, let's go into it. When going into the underworld, you're going into a lower timeline, okay? I am not the best drawer, and I didn't want to spend too much time trying to make this perfect. I am recovering from perfectionism. So. Okay. This is the tree of consciousness, or the tree of life. This is you, that's you, and that's you, and that's you, and these are all different versions of you on different timelines. So, a lot of people, they just stay around here, like on the surface, like right here, and they don't go into their shadow. They might like jump back and forth from like down here to up here, like, okay, here, down here. And that would be kind of playing it safe. So you're playing it safe. You're not really willing to go into your shadow, but you do, like, sometimes, because obviously it's unconsciously manifesting into your life. But when you're down there, you're not really trying to reconcile it. You're just like, oh man, I did that again, and then you beat yourself up for it instead of looking at it, loving it, learning the lesson. The funny thing is, okay, so the deeper you go into the depths of your underworld, which is your unconscious programming and patterning. These are shadow behaviors. These are traumas, things that you need to reconcile within yourself. The lower you go, the higher you can get. And when you get to a certain point, your third eye becomes activated and you become psychic. Now, let's see what I wrote. I did this amazing meditation yesterday. Like, I can't even describe it. It was just okay. So this all comes back to unconditional love. If you're on the path to unconditional love, then you're going to be jumping around. So, like, go down here so that you can come up here. Maybe you've only been playing in this area, but now you want to go higher. So you got to go lower so that you can go higher. Sometimes you have to go down to go up. That was like one of the first messages I got very strongly when my clairaudience opened, and they would tell me that all the time when I would be like beating myself up about something, because I'd be like, man, I fucked up again, like fuck, like I'm not worthy, all this stuff. And then they would say, sometimes you have to go down to go up, and they would show me like a rubber band and like being pulled down and then flung back up. So that's like essentially what you're doing in your ascension process. It's a journey. It's a they always talk about how it's a spiral. You keep coming back to the same things with deeper truths, or you could be seeing different things. It just depends on what you chose to come here to learn and do. A lot of times these patterns, this unconsciousness, this darkness, so darkness equals unconsciousness. The shadow can come in many ways, whether that be like, lust, overindulgence, which would be gluttony. So think about the 7 deadly sins. Wrath, if you're violent. Pride, your ego getting in the way. Vanity, feeling that you're more important than everybody else. All these things are meant to be reconciled so that you can come into your sovereignty. Sovereignty is what's going to set you free. Because these little things, they're going to be like little nuisances in your ear. You should do this. You've always done this. If you have spent a lot of time feeding into your impulses, then it's going to be a little bit like, it's going to take more practice to step back into yourself so that you can sit through the impulse, sit through the temptation and say, that's not for me, that's not who I am, that's not who I choose to be. I'm a sovereign being, which means I do the right thing. I do the right thing, not just for me, but for other people around me as well. You know what I mean? Sovereignty is how you move out of karma, by doing the right thing. So if you have a pattern like, okay, so I've been watching The Joker and Harley Quinn, the musical, the new one. So, okay, so first of all, I want to start by saying, I spent a lot of time avoiding movies like this. After my awakening, it felt like too much. It felt like a lot. Like I walked out of Batman at the movie theater because it was just like so much for me. It's because I was still denying my shadow aspects. When I decided, if you're denying your own shadow, just like I said in the last video, if you're denying your own light and your connection to source, then you're going to be missing part of you. Think of yourself as half and half. Half darkness, half light. Yin and yang. They make a balance, a perfect balance. So, if you're denying the shadow, you're repressing it, you're overindulging, you're using substances so that you don't have to feel your feelings, you're numbing out. And that doesn't just have to be with substances. You're watching Netflix all day, you're hyper-focused on everybody around you, you're not focused on yourself and your healing and your growth, and you're not willing to look at the things that you should be holding yourself accountable for so that you can move higher in this transformative journey. So the Joker, and this was like, I'm not saying like it was easy for me to watch, but I felt very called to watch it. I was working with the goddess Hecate, and she was showing up loud that day. Like, I'm talking black dogs, crows in my path. I'm talking about shit cracking off, like, emotionally. And I heard it was about strengthening. It's about me solidifying my inner strength. Fortifying, I don't know why that word's coming into my mind. I'm going to look it up real quick. Okay. Fortifying. Provide with defensive works as acts. Oh, wait. Providing with defensive works as protection against attack. So I guess it's kind of like know thy enemy. To strengthen or to protect. That makes sense. These both make sense. So the stronger you are internally, the less outside shit can get to you. If you have no patterns or attachments or, you've done a lot of ego work and you don't have internal conflict, then the things that are going to come to you, that get sent to you, this could be from somebody thinking negatively of you. This could be in a number of different ways. I'm not going to personally go into all that right now. But by having, your higher perspective, your knowledge, and your strength, your inner resilience, and being able to discern like what's yours and what's not yours. If something's coming to me and I'm like, oh, this is not mine, I know that because that's not actually how I feel, and this is not actually how I act, because that will happen if somebody's like trying to send you something, and then you have to, that's why clearing is very important. You have to be aware. You have to be aware of the shadow, because the shadow of others, their unconsciousness, even if they're unconscious and they're thinking bad things about you, energy gets sent to you, and you have to stand in your high vibration. Like I've said before, when your vibration is so high, you have a protective bubble around you, nothing can get in. But sometimes you can still hear the thoughts, and you have to discern what is yours and what is not yours. Like, why you don't think about yourself like that? Why all of a sudden are you thinking about yourself like that? Or you don't care about those kinds of things. Why all of a sudden are you caring about those kinds of things? Like one shadow pattern is like greed, money, being money hungry. Like, that's very, and then like using people, manipulating and all that to get money or get your needs met because you don't have a solid foundation how to build your own castle, your own empire, your own foundation. Then you're doing all these things, wasting energy, when you could just be reconciling things within you and then making your own way. Oh, so the Joker. Okay, so let's talk about the Joker's shadow. Okay, this is an extreme shadow, obviously. I don't know if you guys have watched the movie, but the shadow is, he murders people, like he's a murderer. So what happened was, in his childhood, he got talked down to, made feel that he was unloved, made feel that he wasn't good enough by his mother. And there was abuse, and there was bad things that happened to him. And he was a kid, and then she told him, your purpose here is to make people happy and laugh. And so he took on this persona. He took on this persona of the Joker, because all this shit was happening to him, and that was his mask. Just be happy. Just smile. Just be funny. You know, just, you'll be fine. You don't have to think about these things. Just be this way, and people will like you. And it got to a point where he couldn't stand the abuse anymore, and he killed his mother. When he killed his mother, he felt a sense of relief. That relief would be short-lived, because those memories and those traumas are still there. And when you get a traumatic event happen to you, when you have a wound, and because as children we're so innocent, like we don't know, we let things affect us, even if it's not that bad. It's like really bad to you. That's gonna cause a fragmentation of your soul. You're going to lose a piece of yourself in that trauma, in that wounding. And the only way to retrieve it is to look at the shadow, to understand what's happened, where it's come from, why it happened. Sometimes this is from a past life. If you've done something in a past life, this will be carried over into this life, and you'll have this in your, like, how do I say this? It's like it's in your karmic backpack. There you go. So you have a karmic backpack with you at all times, and the more you do the work, the lighter it gets, right? The lighter it gets. You could have a huge, heavy backpack depending on how many things you've signed up to clear and cleanse, and how big your purpose is. Because the more, the more things you know how to clear, then the more help you can be to others. So obviously the Joker is a fictional character, but I'm just using him as an example. So he got relief from that, and then he goes back to working. And then if you watch the first Joker, he was made fun of by his coworkers, he was put down, he was degraded, all these things, because he hadn't reconciled what his mother had done. What does he end up doing? Killing his coworker and then a bunch of other people, and putting on this persona of, I am this guy. And then you see the crowd go wild for him, even though he's a murderer. So he's feeling guilty. So at first you're like kind of confused, but he starts to say how he doesn't want to be in this life, how he doesn't want to live. All he wanted was to be loved for who he was, and instead he had to put on a mask and be loved for a fake person that he was not. And he didn't learn how to love himself, and other people didn't love him. He hated himself. He killed his mother and he felt guilt. But instead of feeling that, he put on the persona as a Joker and the villain, and went about that, because that's how people loved him. And he didn't want to admit that he felt guilt for what he's done. And because of that, the same thing happened again. So now he's in the pattern, he's in the cycle, and it's happening again and again. And Harley Quinn comes in, who loves him for the Joker, right? It's not him that she loves, it's the Joker. And she makes that very apparent. And so now he's putting on this bigger act because, well, somebody loves him finally. Well, because he feels loved now, and that's new for him. And, everyone has shadows. Some people live in their shadow, they're led by it, like the Joker. Other people, they kind of flip-flop back and forth, like, they go into their shadow patterns, but then I don't know if they're just like repressing it and shoving it down and then going back to the lighter side, but either way, everybody has these patterns. And so we can't really say what's worse and what's not worse, because everyone came here to reconcile things. And obviously the Joker didn't come here, he's made up. But if he was on this journey, he would have had to go back and reconcile these things. And so eventually something bad happens to him again. And he can't. He just can't keep up the persona. He's just like done. He's like, I can't keep living this lie. Like, I don't like it. I don't feel like I'm truly loved for who I am. I'm loved for who everyone thinks that I am. And he just wants love. And that's usually what fear is, the absence of love. It's neglect. It's patterning. It's all these things. And love is always the answer. He could have learned to love himself. He could have gave himself that love and validation. And I'm not saying it's easy to do that. But instead, he saw somebody who also wanted him to continue as a joker. So he put on an act. Oh, now I have like a romantic love and I'm in love, and you know, but she loves the joker. So when that bad thing happened to him and then he confesses what he's done, I can't do this anymore. This is what I've done. And, you know, he doesn't feel like he can go on with all this pain. And she automatically is like pissed, and she's like, oh no. So she didn't love him for him. She loved him for who his persona was. So, you know, he wanted to die, and that's what happened, and he was relieved from his misery. But let's say he was going to reincarnate again. Okay? So let's say his life ended. He will come back with that pattern to reconcile it again. He'll have to live another life with that pattern until he goes into it, goes into his trauma, and heals it. When you do that, you retrieve a part of your soul. You came here to reconcile patterns, shadows. You're here to retrieve fragments of your soul. And this could be in this lifetime or from past lifetimes. But I have noticed there are people who, like, they just create. And I always wonder, do they not have, like, karma to clear? Are they just so free to create? Or, like, you know, I don't know. It's so interesting to me. People are so interesting to me. So, what you do, what he would have had to do is to realize, okay, so, let me get my notes real quick. So, he's probably shamed himself because he believed the shame that his mother has told him. He is unworthy. He is not worthy of love. He is not worthy of happiness. And so he's living in his underworld. Like, there's no jumping up because he's always here mentally. So his physical reality will show that. And if you came in with, like, darkness like that, then that's what would happen. But you can work through this. So, dark night of the soul. That's what the dark night is. The dark night is when you're stuck in the lower. You're stuck. You're stuck. You're not happy. You don't try to be happy. You're resigned. You're resigned. And you basically, once you start your spiritual journey and transformation journey, you're working your way back up. You're working your way up to the higher, the better, even the normal, just like the standard. And then you get higher, right, and your third eye's open, but then every once in a while, these cycles occur where you come down because a pattern comes up, and it might even be a pattern that's been coming up, like, oh, there's like this little chestnut, and then, you know, like my perfectionism, how it comes in so many different ways, and I'm like, shit, again? Like, I thought I fixed this, but it's like, now I'm like, have I not reconciled that within me? But I don't know. I don't really know, because there are things that I've cleared that have just completely gone away, that they don't show up again. But then there's things like that, which I guess could relate to my Chiron wound. So that would be something that would take a lifetime to heal. Okay, so that makes sense. So you have to claw and fight and transform your way out of the dark forest, basically. When you awaken, you're not just in the higher realms. You're still in the hell realms. That's what I call them. Lower vibrational states of mentality, the hell realms, right? Because hell is a state of mind. If you're miserable and you're insecure and feel unworthy and all those things, and you're just living in your wounds, you're living out your wound after wound, and bad things keep happening after bad thing keeps happening, you're stuck in your dark forest. And it's time to follow the light and clear. So, when we shame ourselves, we shut down parts of ourselves until we're strong enough and comfortable enough to look at these things again and step back into that pattern. So, if it's like a physical journey, you're going to be stepping back into that pattern. If it's more like a spiritual journey, you can do the energy work and work with that energy and change your decision. What are you going to do? So like if you're somebody who is non-committal, part of your soul journey is going to be to learn how to be committed without toxicity. So when we do that, when we recognize, oh, I'm going into a pattern. Oh, actually, this is something I've done all my life, and this comes from a childhood wound or a past life wound or a trauma, and you know that, like betrayal wound. I'm afraid of people. I don't like people. I hate them all because I've been hurt, and now I don't trust any single one of them. That's a betrayal trauma. And now you have to go into that and look at, and it's sad because it's like as a kid, we all want to make our moms and dads happy. That's what we want to do. But our moms and dads might be living in shadow. And we're not choosing ourselves. We're choosing to do everything, even if we don't want to do it, so that they're happy. Because we don't want to get in trouble. We don't want to be reprimanded, all these things. So you have to look at that. Were you neglected? Were you hovered over and controlled? Were you abandoned? You know? Were you betrayed by your parents? Because then that wounding will shut down a part of you, and then you'll enter into some kind of vice that helps you numb out because you don't want to feel that. So you need to go back into those patterns. You have to forgive, and you have to love. How can you forgive and love somebody who's done you like this? Because they're a soul helper on your path forward to your highest ascension. And when you get up there, you get to help other people. This person that done this to you has launched you into your purpose or your healing, you know? And you do have to understand that they are also in patterning. You think about being in your patterning. It's not fun. You don't get to choose. You're just in it. And if you're unconscious, then you don't know it. But then you start realizing, like, oh, I'm doing this. Like, the more consciousness you bring into your body, then you're like, oh, I'm doing that. Oh, shoot. Like, the more sovereign you become, the more you realize where you're doing things that are not of sovereignty. Like, back in the day when I would always freaking, you know, like, not care about people, anything, and then abandon myself for other people because I guess love was scarce in the home. And so when somebody showed me some affection, but they'd have a girlfriend, well, I wouldn't really care. But then I realized that was me abandoning myself. That was me not choosing myself, and I won't do that again. I will never do that again. I will never, ever put myself in a third-party situation ever again. Because I respect myself way too much for that. So, because I realized the pattern, okay, so the pattern was I was always waiting for someone to choose me but I hadn't chosen myself. Well, now I choose myself. So I don't really care what else is going on. I'm just going to keep doing my thing. So when I chose that, I received a fragment of my soul back. When I chose to forgive, like my abandonment wounds, when I chose to forgive my parents, I've gotten fragments of my soul back. When I chose to stop partying all the time, to step into self-care and self-love, well, I received a lot of fragments of my soul back. So I'm coming back together quite nicely. And soul retrieval, it's crucial to go into the shadow for, or else you're going to feel unhappy, frustrated, like you have no direction or purpose in life. When we repress because of trauma, we create an empty hole, and that's where the fragment was. So the fragment's gone, the soul piece of you gone, and now there's an empty hole. So now you get to, go through your trials by fire, which is to clean up your act, the 7 deadly sins: lust, greed, vanity, gluttony, I'm blanking. Lust, greed, vanity, pride, gluttony, wrath, and envy, jealousy. That's a big one. A lot of people have it. I've seen it. One of my gifts, because I'm so willing to go into my shadow, is I can see people's shadows. So, sometimes when you don't want to do this, you become an avoidant. And now avoidant means I'm not looking at anything, and also I'm not even like in my life, I'm not caring about things either that I should be caring about. I'm just like avoidant. I'm avoiding everything. And you have to realize that you're doing that. Like you just can't be bothered. I just can't be bothered. And when I know I'm feeling like that, that's when I'm like, okay, I'm being avoidant. So this is something I should look at. When you want to, even a form of numbing out is like when something pops up and you don't want to look at it, or if something's right in front of you and you don't want to look at it, you'll just be thinking about all these things. And that's a form of like numbing out, of escapism. And the things that you can't look at are the things that you should look at and learn to stay conscious with, because they're probably a big part of your journey. So the healing of the wounds is a big part of everyone's journey that's on this path. Now, these things are going to keep unconsciously repeating themselves and playing out in your life if you're not doing the work, because it will be stored in your energetic center. So you're unconsciously manifesting, you're unconsciously creating, because we are creator beings, from a place where you are wounded. And now that wound's going to keep appearing no matter how bad you don't want it to, it's going to. So when you wake up to the pattern, okay, this is happening again, now I have to clear it. If this is happening again, that means there's something in me that hasn't been cleared. Now I have to look at this. And now I have to learn how to reconcile it. And maybe that means that you need to communicate with somebody. Like some problems can be solved by communication. I think one of my big things is learning how to be in right relationship. So for me, communication is a big one, especially because I was somebody who was very avoidant. I would, just cut people off. And the thing about that is, well, that's not very unconditionally loving. I mean, it's not about, okay, let's talk about this. When you have people in your life, you should be very discerning on who you let in. But you don't have to cut them out completely. Like if a family member or a friend or a coworker treats you badly, that doesn't mean that you have to hate them and cut them off and never talk to them. It's like, okay, they're just there. They're just at their own level. They're on their journey. You can still be kind and loving to somebody and not have the intention to connect with them deeper, They're there. You don't have to avoid them. Just they're there. Just let them be and let yourself be. And they're maybe going to heal in this life. You don't know. And if you're just cutting people off, but it's not like you have to be friends with people, right? You don't have to be friends, but you can just allow them to be there. So you need to take your power back from, you know, your ego. Because I notice a lot of these videos too that's like, you know, some of them are like, if this person is doing this, they're never going to be who you want them to be. Cut them off immediately or whatever, but it's like, you're now projecting your expectation onto somebody. And that is not unconditional love. You're loving with condition. You can be in my life if you show up this way. Like that's conditional love. That's not unconditional love. And you don't have to be in like a very close relationship to show somebody unconditional love. You just do it because like that's who we are at our very core. So you have to take your power back. Take your power back from your ego. Take your power back from other people around you who have hurt you or your wounds. And say, the only thing that's real is love. I choose unconditional love, and I choose forgiveness, and I choose compassion. And, you know, you probably maybe want to do some writing. You can write a letter to the people that have hurt you and saying everything, because you don't want to avoid how you feel. Like, unconditional love is not bypassing your feelings. You hurt me. You did this. You made me feel this way. But it's also my fault because of my internal condition. And take accountability for your role in it. Take accountability. And if somebody can't take accountability for their actions, then you know they're not meant to be a close friend in your life or whatever it is. And you can let them go. And then you set standards for how you want somebody to show up in your life in relationship, but also remember that there is shadow aspects to everybody. And it doesn't mean, like, nobody's going to come to you as a perfectly healed person, a perfect person. And it's about how they show up and how they make the effort. And, like, are they in front of me apologizing when they do something wrong? Are they taking accountability? Are they trying to, like, create something better so our relationship can grow together? Because if that's the case, then that is a really good sign that this person's on the right track and that you might want that person to stick around. Now, if they're avoiding everything, they don't want to, like, say sorry, and they, you know, they're not showing up as a healed communicator, and they're not, you know, like a lot of different things, then you probably don't want to continue to have a close connection with them, because it's going to cause disappointment. But that's the thing, is like, you don't expect from them then. You know, you'll know when somebody's meant to meet you and to stay. And now and then, like, if it's a relationship and now we're committed, and, like, is that love there going to like lead to unconditional love? Like, when somebody does something to you in a partnership, says something, I don't know, hurtful, can you tell them how you feel, and do they respond with, like, oh my God, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel that way, but also here's where I'm coming from, and then you guys understand each other, and that's a good sign of connection. Like, that's healthy. And then you forgive each other because you understand everybody's got shadows, and everyone's got patterns. And we're all just doing our best here. And if we're both on a healing path and we're both doing our best, then we can't beat each other up. And I'm not talking about, like, the big stuff. Like, if somebody hits you, I would leave that right away. If somebody cheats on you, I would leave that right away. If somebody, I'm not talking about big things. I'm talking about little shadow behaviors that are unconscious. They need to clean their act up. So also with soul retrieval. So I like to call this the side quest. So where something traumatic happened to you, you can go back there and you feel your body. Like, I went back to where I had my near-death experience, and I felt like all these things coming home to my body, because I made peace with that, and I moved forward, and I grew through it, and all these things, and it was. And so then I started doing that and going to different locations and driving past places where I had like done or been in situations or behaviors that were unhealthy that I know a fragmented piece were. And I feel like I got a lot back. So, when we are staying in our sovereignty and not trying to do people dirty, not being selfish and only looking out for yourself and what you can gain, and like the whole like being a gold digger or power, trying to control everyone and everything because you have a distorted expression of power, then you are not reconciling any soul fragments. You're unconsciously stuck in your same loop of patterning, and it's going to be there, and it's going to keep looping and looping and looping until you decide to make a different choice, to look at it and say, oh, this is not healthy, this is not for my highest good, and then make a different decision. Make the sovereign choice, living in integrity and not creating more karma by emotionally manipulating, anything that's toxic. And I'm not saying you have to be you don't have to be perfect. Everyone slips up and like does little things, but it's just about saying, oh shit, I did that, and like being accountable and apologizing. Do your ho'oponopono and saying, next time I'm going to do this different, and to make it a point to be like, I'm going to stay in my sovereignty because that's who I am. I'm not this patterning. I never was. I just got it. I just came in with it. This is never going to be a choice that harms anyone intentionally. This is never going to be a choice that is built from any of the 7 deadly sins or fear or lack. Fear makes people do crazy fucking shit. It makes them lash out. It makes them try to manipulate and control, and it's not healthy. So also looking at your fears and seeing where they came from, because they usually come from trauma. This is your path back to wholeness. The deeper that you go into your underworld, the higher your vibration rises, and the timelines that you jump to after working on a shadow timeline gets more and more magical as you reconcile patterns within you. And if you're not choosing to reconcile these patterns, you're going to end up feeling lost, unsatisfied. You're going to keep getting the same results, and you're going to keep doing things and hoping for something different, but you're going to get the same results. You don't have to jump timelines. You don't have to do the patterning in this way if you just go and do your introspection work and you look at things, and then you say, okay, well, I know that this happened, and now I realize that, this person betrayed me because I was betraying myself. That was because of my internal condition. And so now you start taking care of yourself. You start doing things that you want to do and not betraying yourself, and reconcile that. And then when that happens, or you say, like, I'm not going to talk nasty to people anymore. So when that happens, and you're reconciling that within you, something externally might pop up. So you might not have to jump into timelines, but something might pop up where it's like a test. It's like, so now it's in front of you. Are you gonna act the same, or are you gonna act different? And when you act different, it's like, yay, and it's cleared and it's let go, and then you get to go into the next thing. Or it's obviously not like right away. Like you'll now get to be in your higher timeline, chilling, having fun, creating, being joyful, until you become conscious and aware of the next pattern. And it's a cyclical. And also, sometimes making the right choice is hard. Like, sometimes we have fed that beast of impulse for so long that it doesn't feel good to not act on it. And it's like, what? Like, I guess I'm going to do the right thing. Like, fuck, I guess I'm going to do the right thing then. And then you're like, pouting about it, but ultimately it's for your highest good. So don't feel discouraged because you don't feel good about making the right decision. It will turn around. So also think about your desires. There's heart-based desires, and then there's lower desires that are toxic. You will be able to discern the difference in that. Sometimes it's really irritating to calm the beast within, especially if you've been feeding it for a very long time. And this is where meditation is going to come in handy. So when you're having an impulse that you know you shouldn't act on, go into meditation. Just take a moment to zen out, get grounded, go outside, go on a nature walk, do something that's going to help you calm down until the impulse passes. And when you meditate, what you're doing is you're allowing space energetically for your energy to settle so that you're not feeling that patterning coming up again. And the more you do this, when the impulse comes up and you say no and you take a step back, then the next time the impulse isn't going to be as strong. Then it's not going to be as strong, and it's not going to be as strong. And then eventually it's just going to go away. Just come back to your presence, come back to balance until you can fully move out of that shadow timeline. And especially if you are used to being in higher vibrational timelines, then it gets very uncomfortable to be in the lower timelines and you feel uneasy. But this is just a wave that you need to ride. Love yourself through all of it. This is a part of the journey, and just remember that. So when you're stepping into a pattern, and you don't have to get it right every single time. Like, you don't need to be perfect. If you don't get it right and you do go back and make the same mistake that you made before, you get to say, okay, shoot, I did it again, but I still love myself, and I'm still going to try next time to not make that mistake. I'm going to do this different. I know, and I also know I'm going to be able to. So just keep trusting yourself, keep the faith, love yourself through everything. Don't beat yourself up for making mistakes or going back into patterns. It will work itself out. Trust the journey. And also, like, a lot of this is like, it's not just for you to come back into wholeness. You're going to be able to help so many people who are in the same place that you are that don't know what to do. And then because you did it, you get to look at, like me, I get to now share with you what you can do. This is the hero's journey. You're coming out of the dark forest, which is the hero's journey, which is the tarot deck journey. The path is to sovereignty and selflessness. And this is going to lead to the most profound things in your life. Like everything you've ever wanted. Beyond your wildest dreams. Not just what you've dreamed, but even better. You know, but you have to be willing to put your health and self first. And also, in doing so, you put humanity first, and you put the healing of the planet first. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful journey, and it's hard, and it takes practice, especially with the trust of the process, because we want to be so fearful of everything. We want to be so fearful of every shadow. We want to be so fearful of experiences and all these things, but it's like, it's all a part of the process, and there is not one thing that is not of divine orchestration. Not one thing. It's all to make you stronger, to get you where you are supposed to be in this lifetime. Higher and higher levels of awareness and consciousness. More Shakti, more life force. More unconditional love. There is nothing sexier than my authentic truth. And you find out who you truly are underneath all your patterning, underneath all your programming when you clear it up. And I think you probably know who you are. I probably think you know that if you feel guilty about doing things like your patterning, it's because it's not who you are. You are somebody different. You are the loving energy of the universe. Your love incarnate on this planet. And when we let the mind get in the way, the ego get in the way, we want to condemn everybody. This person is this way and that person is that way. It's like, just, like, you don't need to do that. Everybody's got their traits and qualities, but they also have good in them too. There's half and half. And so let's stop condemning people and just live our lives more simply And the higher you elevate your vibration, even if somebody is trying to do you harm, they can't get in. And not only that, you can see through them. You can see intentions and manipulation. And when you see that, you just walk away from it. Okay? Don't allow people like that into your life, into close proximity, you know? My energy creates my reality, and what I focus on is what I will manifest. So if you're focusing on fear, if you're focusing on, I don't know, loss, whatever it is that you're focusing on, if you're focusing on toxic behavior, that's what's going to manifest. If you're focusing on love, joy, abundance, and growth, and development, then you're going to get more of that. It's just like, what are you focusing on? What do you want? Envision things for yourself. I'm unapologetic about what I desire, and I trust that what I focus on will grow. So there is something that I'm feeling here that you want to grow, that you want, so keep focusing on it, and keep focusing on the best possible outcome for yourself. But also, like, sometimes the universe has something even higher and better in mind for you, and you have no freaking idea. It's just keep going after what you want. And if it's healing, then that's beautiful. And if it's, you know, a business or a YouTube channel of your own, do that. What do you want? What do you want? From a heart-based place, not from fear. Don't let your fear tell you that you can't have what you want, because you can. Like, the Joker just wanted love, but... And he manifested it in the form of Harley Quinn, who didn't actually love him for who he really was. She loved him for his toxicity, because she had toxicity of her own, and their demons danced well together, and they were just purely living in their shadow world. You see what I'm saying? So I'm gonna pull an angels and ancestors and a spirit owl. I'm not gonna do tarot on here today. I'll be doing tarot on my Instagram at Cosmic Fractal of Light. I am taking clients, one-on-one life coaching sessions. We can dive into your shadow, we can dive into your trauma, whatever you'd like. DM me on my Instagram or email me at cosmicfractaloflight@gmail.com. Oneness is my true nature. So when you're in separation consciousness, and that usually comes from a betrayal wound, this person doing this, this person's doing this to me, this person's doing that to me, all those things, you're in separation consciousness. We are all one. We are all part of a bigger picture. Everyone is where they're at. Everyone's doing what they're doing. Just focus on you and becoming whole within yourself, becoming happy and calm and joyous and focused. My happiness is a direct reflection of my level of faith in the universe. Like I said, everything's a divine orchestration. Do you trust the universe? Or are you trying to sit there in fear and trying to control everything? Because if you are, then you're not trusting. When you learn to trust the universe, you learn to trust yourself. And when you learn to trust yourself, you don't really even have to worry about trusting people around you, because you trust your intuition, and your intuition will tell you. When I lean towards love, I am led. Make sure your decisions are coming from love. Recently, I've had to kind of check myself on that, where my ego was getting too in the way, and I was like, you know what? This is not me. This is not me. So I came back home to self in my heart, and I have made different decisions and turned things around. Jeez. Okay, the 4 cards came out. I guess I'm going to read them all. So, you need to protect your energy right now. It's saying that very clearly. Surround yourself with protective energy. Surround yourself with positive people and experiences and environments that make you feel safe. Call on your angels, guides, and ancestors to bring you protection. Just ask them, please, Archangel Michael, I call on you to please wrap me in the white light, or you can just call on God. God, wrap me in your white light. Archangel Michael, please protect me from anything that seeks to cause discord or harm, and remove anything in my field that has already been sent my way. Arrows have long been revered as symbols of protection, as many native people would use bow and arrow as a weapon of defense. When an arrow appears in a meditation or dreams or an oracle reading, it's a sign that you need to protect yourself and what is important to you, because not everyone has the same intentions as you do. This doesn't mean that people are intentionally wanting to hurt you, but they could be careless in their choices and their actions, and this could affect you. There are energies around you that could lower your vibration, and it's important you become aware of them and aren't brought down by them. If you are in a situation where you feel that not everything is as clear as it seems, trust your intuition. There are energies in your current situation that aren't fully aligned with your intentions and goals or with kindness. Follow your intuition about whom to trust and what to trust. If you can take time to retreat or to step out of this situation to assess what is going to be beneficial for you, do so. In any event, this is a time to call on the energy of protection and to place yourself in a space that feels safe. If you need to get away and be alone and go to the beach and go out in nature, because that's going to help you ground and get away from whatever energy is around you that's seeking harm. And it might not be in a conscious way, but it is harming you. It's a lower vibrational energy, and it's harming you because we have the snake after. And I feel this has a double meaning. I feel this card has a double meaning. I feel there's a snake around you. I feel somebody is a snake in the grass, and you can't even see it. So you need to open your eyes and be more aware. Also, so that was the first meaning I got for this. Second meaning is you need to shed your old skin. Cast out the old, reveal your true colors, talents, and gifts to the world. In many spiritual traditions, the snake offers powerful medicine. In tantric teachings, it symbolizes the kundalini, which is the powerful serpentine energy within that allows you to reach your highest spiritual potential. When the sacred ones saw a snake in nature or encountered one in a dream, they knew there was a transformation in the air. For me, the snake card not only represents the shedding of old skin, but moving beyond the limitations caused by carrying the venom of negative thoughts about others or of the past. That's what I was talking about. If you're thinking negative things about others, then that's going to lower your vibration. Just let them be where they are. Forgive the past. The energy of renewal is washing over your life at this time. If for some reason you feel your true self hasn't been recognized, or you've been misread by others, know this energy is now leaving you. As you've been working through your old stories and all the self-limiting beliefs that you've accumulated along the way, you've been peeling away a shield of skin that has created limiting experiences. Your own personal commitment to growth has been recognized, and now the external world will begin to reflect all the work that you've done within yourself. If you feel someone you love has misunderstood you recently, they will be able to see beyond that if you're willing to recognize your own challenges. This is a time for renewal, abundance, and connection. Let yourself be reborn and celebrated. When we are healing and growing, a lot of times we outgrow people. We outgrow people who are staying stuck, that only want you in your old version because they benefited from that. And they don't want to see you grow, and they don't want to see you do well. So just be aware of that. And you can try to be friends or like in a relationship with somebody who's not doing the work while you're doing the work, but it's not gonna, you're going to rise up too high where they can't meet you anymore, and it's going to be uncomfortable, and it's going to cause problems. And that's not your fault. It's because it was never the connection that you were meant to be in. And if there is another version of this relationship after this person decides that they want to do the work and heal what they're going through and all that. And as I say that, we get autumn. It is. Autumn. Release the old and rest. Release all of the pressure and expectations weighing you down. Shed it all so that you can recover before moving into a time of renewal. Autumn is when trees are preparing for the long, cold winter and must let go of all the weight they are carrying in order to grow. and prosper. Sometimes you just have to surrender an aspect of yourself in order to continue to grow and prosper. The raven on the autumn card shows that there is an opportunity to heal at this time. In Celtic animal medicine, the raven is the bird of healing and initiation. This healing is bringing a shift that allows you to move into a more powerful psychic space where you can be more aware of your needs and desires and be better supported. You know what is heavy? What's holding you back? Is it a person, a situation, or a dream? Like the trees letting go of their leaves and fruit in the autumn, it's time to let it go. When you hold on, you try to control reality, and that never works. And when you let go, you make space for new to enter your life. You are being guided by your angels and nature herself to release whatever is stopping you from moving forward, and you can do this. When the autumn card arrives, it can also indicate that, okay, this isn't irrelevant because it wasn't the last card. Never mind. Okay. Oh, and then you have winter. So you have autumn and winter. And this is taking care of your needs. Do everything you need to be at your best. Then move beyond your fears and limitations. For many of the animal realm, winter is the time of hibernation and retreat. You may wish to curl up in a ball too, but although you may not feel as bright as you'd like to be, a primal force within is encouraging you to continue. The winter card features a wolf, one of few animals that stay active all year round. Wolves know what it's like to work alone or to thrive within a pack. So if you feel you need to go it alone at this time, know the wolf medicine will help you move beyond your insecurities and relax in your own space. You have an opportunity to move beyond your fears. Although you may feel in the dark, get comfortable with being in the unknown and trust that the light within you will sustain you through what may seem a challenging process. Ask yourself what you need to do to feel supported and alive. You may uncover something from your past that you have buried deep. Know that when you unearth it and shed light on it, you create space for miracles. You may feel like a lone wolf right now, but it's time for you to be the alpha. When the winter card arrives as the last card in the reading, it can also indicate that this winter will usher in important energies with regards to your questions or intentions. That's now. Winter is now. Okay, one last one. Spirit ally, and then I'm going to sign off, and yeah, I guess I'll see you when I see you. You can always come check out what's going on in our Instagram. I'm really excited about things picking up, and it's beautiful. And here we are, the Black Panther. Black Panther sits atop a tree branch, illuminated by the light of the moon. A graceful creature, Black Panther quietly observes and witnesses its surroundings. Its deep dark fur keeps Black Panther protected while also setting it apart from the rest of the animal kingdom. The Black Panther is a powerful symbol of spiritual rebirth. If you have found yourself looking through the depths of your emotions and seeking psychic guidance, the Black Panther is a sign that the universe has been listening. The Black Panther is a guardian like no other, and in this stage of your journey, know that you are divinely protected, connected to the dark moon. Black Panther also represents your ability to travel through the darkness and find the light. Tap into your inner power and know that you can uncover your dream reality. Release any uncertainty to the universe and move forward, knowing that your own power alone is a force to be reckoned with. What signs have I seen recently, and what do these signs mean to me? So those are some good reflections, and I know, okay, the journey into the darkness, into the underworld, isn't always the funnest, clearly. Also, you don't need to be scared. They're just unconscious patterns. Don't be scared. You don't need to be scared. There's nothing to fear but fear itself, because when you're in fear, you're manifesting fear. So bring love into fear. Say no. This is not real. Fear is an illusion. This fear is coming from a wound. This fear is coming from societal programming. This fear is coming from, don't manifest things that you don't want because you're stuck in fear. It's not scary. The dark is not scary. It's just unconscious. It's just because humanity has been living unconsciously since the fall of Atlantis. And after that, they went into the Dark Ages, and then, you know, the control got taken over, and then everybody was programmed to stay unconscious so that their vibration didn't raise, so that we were stuck in fear. So then all we're doing is playing out unconscious patterning, war, murder, you know, all this nastiness, but it's unconsciousness. I guess I should stop calling it nastiness. It's unconscious behavior. It's just like the karma we've accumulated as a collective of humanity. And we are the cleanup crew. We are here to reconcile these patterns so that the future generations of this planet can live in the light and not in the dark. And that's why we're light warriors. So learn how to work with your journey, to trust it, and to understand that every single step of the way you're learning something, even if you can't see it in that moment. Like, just let it go, and then it'll come to you when it's meant to. Okay, I hope you have a great weekend. Bye.